Thank you for coming back to another Hamza Khan show video. I do apologize for the late uploads. Normally I upload on like Mondays, and I record it on like Sundays, but this week I just didn't do it, so that's why it's a kind of a late upload. But that doesn't mean the actual content is gonna be any worse because we've had craziness in wrestling. I think the three main points of the last week and a half is confrontation between um, CM Punk and the Usos. You had what happened at SmackDown with Cody Rhodes, and then from that you had um, the confrontation between the second one after what CM Punk had said to Roman Reigns about his father on Monday with CM Punk and Roman Reigns. So I think I'm gonna start from the beginning. I'm gonna go for the two Monday nights in Raw. So that promo, that confrontation between the Usos and CM Punk was, I thought it was insane. I thought everything just made sense, and it amplified everything in that confrontation. And it kind of give meaning to people who didn't really understand how significant it was where when CM Punk brought up Roman Reigns' father, that this is serious. This isn't something that we can just joke about. Isn't something that we can just gloss over. It is something that the Usos family, Roman Reigns family, the kind of Samoan family in WWE and wrestling do take very seriously. I think a lot of people kind of were focused on Jey Uso and how he was kind of presented in that um, confrontation. CM Punk obviously comes out, he says what he says, taking small digs at Roman. Then here comes the Usos conf- confronting um, CM Punk and demanding an apology. You saw Jey Uso walking back and forth. He kind of reminded you of that 2020 Jey Uso, the Jey Uso that was one of the catalysts to the beginning of the Bloodline story. Um, and you kind of felt it between his demeanor, but I didn't think. I thought we always you could always see that from um, CM Punk. You always see that often from not CM Punk, from Jey Uso. He does do that quite often, and he's able to portray that very well. Um, but that is not the case with Jimmy Uso. I thought the promo and the kind of, because he was a calm in the storm in the Usos, I think it went under the radar, but his explanation was so clear, and it gave the kind of importance to what the Usos were demanding with an apology. It referenced the fact that CM Punk was the voice of the voiceless, and that their uncle, Roman Reigns' father, had no voice, had no way to defend himself or even rebut. So why would CM Punk, knowing the fact that he is friends with Jey Uso, he is friends with Jimmy Uso, why would he bring up this when he knows that it's gonna touch some buttons, it's gonna push the envelope up, it's gonna piss them off essentially. Um, but I thought the work, it's sometimes you just need someone to kind of say it straight, and that's what Jimmy Uso did. And I think without that, if you just had Jey Uso there with his back and forth, with his kind of anger, and every time CM Punk would speak, bringing up Roman Reigns, kind of blaming it on Roman Reigns, using lame excuses like Roman Reigns said something about Cody Rhodes, my friend, and about the American Dream. So why can't I say it to them? Why did he not apologize? And it was very lame excuse. It was very kind of lackluster. It was kind of just a little, yeah, yeah, yeah. It was kind of like, okay, you've said that, but that's from like 2, 3 years ago, and we've already kind of, not necessarily sorted it, but like Cody Rhodes won the championship off Roman Reigns. He took everything from Roman Reigns. So kind of he did get his payback in the end. So you bringing this up is kind of lame, really. Um, but that calmness from Jimmy Uso, keeping it straight, keeping it kind of directed at the conversation, keeping everything straight. That this is what they want. No one's getting distracted. Apologize or watch out what's going to happen to you. I didn't. I think I felt like it needed. This is just like a small. It was perfect, that promo. It was really good. It was, if it was never changed, I'm not like angry about it. But I would probably say that it needed a threat. You had the sense of a threat, but it needed a bit of a like apologize or watch what happens to make it serious. Because CM Punk wasn't taking the Usos seriously. He wasn't taking the Usos as a serious threat when, in actual fact, if the Usos wanted to, they could decimate CM Punk then and there. It's 2v1, and the two are arguably the greatest tag team of all time. CM Punk's great, but he ain't beating that. So obviously you had the conversation push forwards. You had the kind of psych where CM Punk says, "I apologize," goes in for the handshakes the Usos, then goes on his shtick about Roman Reigns, saying, "Apologize for Roman Reigns sending you out here, blah de blah de blah," and then eventually Jimmy Uso knocking Punk out, giving him that punch in the face. Um, it was an amazing promo. It, I was very worried with how Roman Reigns' kind of schedule is, where you have weeks where he's not going to be on the show or advertised for the show. So how are you going to make it where it isn't a case where CM Punk runs away with that promo work, runs away with the narrative, and it makes Roman Reigns look bad. But I think this was a very positive and very good connective tissue between the two Raws, where the Raw where Roman Reigns isn't on the show. But I really liked it, and I hope we get more of the Usos in that representation. I think he saw it in a tease. It was a lot less in the next Raw. It wasn't as much uh, prevalent. I think that's the word. It wasn't seen as much in the next Raw, like, but I hope that going forward, especially with the fact that you've got LA Knight in the background, worried about a bloodline forming again for some reason. Cool, man. You're meant to be chasing the World Heavyweight Championship, man. Maybe focus on that. And then you've got the Vision targeting those World Tag Team Championships for WrestleMania. So I think it is going to be the case where it's the Usos versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory at WrestleMania for the Tag Team Championships. I hope when they are confronted between each other, that seriousness, that kind of, not necessarily anger, but kind of aura of the tag team champions are prevalent in that kind of in the promo work, in the kind of back and forth. What I would like to see happen with the tag team championship, I would want to see we go to WrestleMania, you have the Usos versus Logan Paul and Austin Theory. They lose. Austin Theory lose, Austin Theory and Logan Paul lose, and the Usos retain the tag team championships. We then go to the next night on Raw, and that's when somehow Paul Heyman kind of navigates a rematch, and we get a rematch on Raw, and that's where the tag team championships are lost, and Logan Paul and Austin Theory win the tag team championship. I feel like it'd be such a tease. It'll be like, yeah, the Usos won at WrestleMania, they retained it. They didn't let these guys win the championship. Then we go to Raw, and that's when Logan Paul and Austin Theory win the tag team championships. I think that would make so much sense, and it annoy more people rather than it happening at WrestleMania, because you'd be off the high at WrestleMania. You're thinking that that's in the past. Somehow, rematch is in play, and that's where the tag team championships are lost. And then we go forward with the Usos and division and everything on that end. Of course, obviously, you had the Raw this week with CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Overall, I enjoyed the show. I really liked the fact that Roman Reigns was through shown throughout the show. He wasn't just a case of where he comes at the end of the show and does his promo. CM Punk comes out, blah 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 blah. I've seen that before. He comes in early. He kind of brings up what the bloodline should be feeling towards CM Punk and kind of backing the Usos. Middle of the show you had the backstage bit where they kind of talking between themselves about CM Punk, and then you go to the actual main event of the show, the ending of the show with CM Punk versus Roman Reigns in that second promo battle. Is it the second? Sorry, the third promo battle. So between themselves, obviously you had the case where they went back and forth. They had the small jabs. CM Punk throughout it, I felt had the upper hand throughout. It didn't feel like the jabs of Roman Reigns were really hitting. But then at the end, Roman Reigns kind of brought up the fact that CM Punk is old, and that was the trigger word to get CM Punk to lash out and punch Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns fell to the ground with a smile across his face. Honestly, when I was watching that, I went backwards, rewatched it again, and I was thinking, is that it? Is that the only thing that caused? So I was thinking that is that it? Is that the only thing that's caused the trigger caused CM Punk to kind of lash out and pull the trigger to make the confrontation physical and cause that physicality between Roman Reigns and CM Punk. Honestly, I've heard like a few explanations of it. I still don't really get it. Um, I don't feel like it was explained enough why that caused a trigger. You expected Roman Reigns to come out and bring up some kind of bomb to reply to CM Punk's bomb from the last week when he brought up his father, and that just wasn't the case. It was just a he said it was old, and then that pulled the trigger for CM Punk, and you kind of expected either Roman Reigns to pull out that bomb, as I said, or Judge to just knock the teeth out of CM Punk. So I felt very weird about it, but also felt very. It did. It's kind of one of those things where you have to kind of wait until next Raw to find out if that was actually what that actually means and what the kind of background to it. But it was a bit disappointing. It didn't, even though it kind of presented as the fact that Roman Reigns won, you still felt in your head that you still felt in your head that Roman Reigns still lost, and it still felt that. So just at a mind blank. So as I was saying, so even though you felt it at the end where CM Punk was he pulled the trigger and punched Roman Reigns because he called him old, it still felt kind of the case where CM Punk won because throughout that full promo, CM Punk was winning, and then in the end he got to punch Roman Reigns. If it was presented in a different way, maybe I'm not seeing it how other people may be seeing it, and of course, getting old can be seen as an insult and it can be seen as a demeaning thing, but it just didn't have the oomph or the where the conversation last the week before was CM Punk's taken this far. CM Punk's done. Why did he do that? Is that right? He should have said that. It was kind of the conversation coming out of Raw was not necessarily really about the promo between CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It was kind of just a normal promo comparative to their guys' level. Obviously, if it was someone else or it's different wrestlers, it's kind of you. It may be their promo of the lifetime, but for these guys, where you have expectations, you're building a match. You've seen what happened at SmackDown. People are speaking about that. This just didn't live up to the expectations people had for it. So that's kind of how I'm seeing it currently. Maybe I change my mind what we see on next week on Raw. What I would like to see is I want to see Roman on SmackDown. Just pull up on SmackDown and kind of stir the pot even more. Like that's just so left field. You don't expect it, and it'll give some kind of context towards why that is CM Punk's trigger word and how he's gonna go forwards manipulating that. Or obviously he doesn't need to be that clear, but he can be like presented in that way, and maybe you see Cody Rhodes come out and confront Roman Reigns. Talking about obviously Cody Rhodes, you had the contract signing between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton on SmackDown, which went unexpectedly to myself because I was very much of the idea of we'll get to WrestleMania and that's when someone's gonna turn heel. I was thinking in my head at the moment at the time that Cody Rhodes would turn heel. But after watching the promo, the confrontation between them, and then the contract signing, listening to what kind of people's perspectives are, rewatching it, it makes so much sense, especially for Randy Orton. You had the fact where Cody Rhodes kept on mentioning that when the bell rings, I expect that oh 09 Randy, I expect the Viper, I expect that guy who's ruthless. But obviously, the problem is Randy Orton, oh 09 Randy Orton, does not wait until the bell rings. He's going to dismantle you mentally, physically, way before then. He's gonna pull up to your house. He's gonna punt kick you. He's gonna target your friends. He's gonna target your family. He's gonna bring up things that you're not meant to bring up, and he's gonna be throughout that attacking you so unexpectedly from different angles, from different kind of areas that you just don't expect and you just don't see it coming. And because of Cody Rhodes constantly pulling that trigger, constantly kind of pushing the envelope, because Randy Orton's expectations were that if does need to listen to the voices, he's gonna do it against Drew McIntyre, which is fine because Drew McIntyre is a heel. But in actual fact, now he has to do it to someone that he's been avoiding. He's been kind of trying his best not to, not necessarily offend, but more so he doesn't want to ruin that relationship over the WWE Championship. So he's he's been looking at the championship. He's keeping an eye on the championship. He's kind of waiting, being a snake in the grass, just baiting until finally that chance where he can just go for that championship, take the 15th championship of his career. Be comparison to he was always seen as the rival to John Cena. Him being at 14 and John Cena being at 17 compared to him being at 15 and John Cena being 17, you kind of the conversation is short that the comparatively they are more similar with Randy Orton winning more championships going forwards as a rivalry, as history books. Obviously, in the future, people are not always going to be watching the promo battles or watching going to be the history. It's going to be John Cena had 17, Randy Orton had 14. He had similar amounts, but how can he compare to John Cena? And that is kind of, I believe, Randy Orton's motive. He wants that 15th championship, and he's going to do anything it takes to get that 15th championship. Um, and it would have been an easy scenario against Drew McIntyre. Obviously, not physically or not like in a match sense, but more so just for him mentally. But now that it's Cody Rhodes, as Cody Rhodes said, he's proud to be Randy Orton's boy. He's a mentor to him, similar to what John Cena was, and it's going to take a lot of Randy Orton, who is mentally prepared to listen to those voices, not to actually kill Cody Rhodes. And I feel like after that beatdown, because he ripped his shirt off, smashed him with a low blow, hit him on the table, throw him out the ring, hit him on the announce table, smashed him with a chair against that steel steps. Just insane kind of unexpected stuff. You saw him push away Nick Aldis jelly roll. He ain't playing around, and he means business. And Cody Rhodes' expectation or his kind of lack of awareness that asking for that oh 09 Randy is never a good idea. And because he did, you may see the case where Cody Rhodes loses that championship at WrestleMania. it's very interesting to see. Obviously, you had last year with Cody Rhodes and John Cena, and you had um, Randy Orton this year versus um, it's gonna be Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton this year. Two mentors of Cody Rhodes, two people that mean a lot in Cody Rhodes' life, facing against him for the WWE Championship. Um, and expectations are that people are going to be cheering Randy Orton as they were John Cena, no matter how ruthless Randy Orton is, how much he listens to the voices. Um, it's very interesting to see that Cody Rhodes is the trigger for those two individuals to pull out the kind of authentic self of the characters. So the authentic John Cena at SummerSlam and the authentic Randy Orton, the the killer, compared to the not really the correct wording, but the nice guy Randy Orton compared to nice guy Randy Orton, the kind of bad guy John Cena. Cody Rhodes has triggered the authentic self of those two characters, resembling kind of the don't think it's the nostalgia that people feel, or the kind of when they think about those characters, this is what they think about. They think about John Cena in a certain way, and they think about Randy Orton in a certain way. And it's very interesting to see that Cody Rhodes, with all that history, is the person that has pulled that out of him. Obviously, with this trigger, I'm kind of up in air in terms of who will be that night two main event. Obviously, it's kind of same. It, they mean the same, whether you're night one or night two. Really, it's kind of marginal. Who is night two? Who is night one? But with this storyline, I think currently it is Roman Reigns versus CM Punk for that night two main event. But this storyline between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton elevated enough with enough storyline for people to care. I think people care already, but more so invest a lot into it. You could see the fact that it becomes a Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton night two main event to end WrestleMania, which if we kind of see that slope with the CM Punk and Randy Orton, CM Punk and Roman Reigns kind of point where you had the high point, but slowly it's going down. I feel like Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton could eclipse it, and I wouldn't be mad about it. But very, very interesting. Very does feel like WrestleMania season now. Other points to bring up, just to finish this off, was obviously you had Triple A, Dominic Mysterio, and the El Grande Americano number 2, or the real one. They're so over. It's so insane to see. It'd be love. I would love to go to like a A show in Mexico and just feel the crowd because they love those two characters. I think El Grande Americano, the real one, they love him even more. Um, and it's insane. They going to different towns, going to different shows, and it's so constant. It's the same thing constantly, and it's really, really enjoyable. And it kind of, I feel like it's helping Triple A so much with people wanting to watch it. A crowd does kind of help, make a show. It can definitely elevate it. You remember that show in France, the two shows, the Clash in Paris. You remember the Backlash in Lyon. Um, those shows, because of the crowd, elevated it so much. Um, so these AAA crowds, which are constantly really, really good and kind of showing their emotions, is elevated everything. Other things, obviously, get the turn of Dominic Mysterio on Finn Balor and the Judgment Day against Finn Balor. Interesting to see. I think at this point now, I don't see how Dominic Mysterio re- wins back the Intercontinental Championship, but I still think at WrestleMania it is going to be Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor, and hopefully they don't ruin it and let us know beforehand, but it becomes the demon at WrestleMania, because I feel like that could be an insane moment, and Dominic Mysterio losing to the demon does not diminish or make Dominic Mysterio lose anything, really, I would say. And then the other thing, obviously, of this week's Raw that everybody is talking about is the face off and everything going on with Brock Lesnar and the Brock Lesnar and Obafemi. Um, Obviously, you had Seth Rollins come out, the Vision, him kind of continue the story between the Vision and Seth Rollins and how his objective is to destroy the current Vision that has been made. And then you had Paul Heyman come out looking like a total mess. I loved how he kind of called out Brock Lesnar, FAFO, FAFO, F5. And then everybody went crazy. I thought that was insane. I'm kind of over the masked men, but the masked men don't have any aura at all. So I think they need to kind of go at this point, and Seth Rollins just need to be on his own. I don't think we are gonna see a Seth Rollins match at WrestleMania. I don't think he is cleared. I feel like he'll be he will be prevalent at WrestleMania, so he'll have some sort of showcase, but he won't be in a match or anything like that. But I think some people who are going to be in the match, you could have Over versus Brock, which was Over has that aura now, man. He's definitely been elevated with what he did with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's expressions, his kind of pushback, him walking back and giving that representation of being scared of Obafemi. Not really, but not like blatant, but you felt it in the air, especially with the crowd sh- cheering his name. I thought the entrance, the little change where the music came on, then it went silent, and then Oba came out, which was craziness. Um, but overall, really, 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 really enjoyable, and I feel like the card for WrestleMania in an instant in like 2 weeks has kind of built itself to that point where this WrestleMania is looking really, really good. I feel like it might be better than last year's WrestleMania. I'm interested to see what they do with Io Sky. I have like a feeling in my body that it'll be Io Sky versus Raquel Rodriguez in some sort of capacity, when Raquel Rodriguez wins, which I'm loving Raquel Rodriguez right now, but also I really love Io Sky. Io Sky is sick, and obviously with Rhea Ripley distracted um, with everything with Jade Cargill, you're kind of thinking, what is Io Sky going to be doing at WrestleMania? That might be the match, and it's kind of your two favorite characters currently in the women's division facing off. And I love Raquel, I love Io more, but I feel like Raquel would win that match, and that would elevate Raquel going forwards for maybe a possibility. I think eventually we are gonna see Liv v Raquel for the women's world championship, because I do feel that Stephanie Raquel will lose at WrestleMania, but I could, if we go with you go with Raquel versus Io after WrestleMania, you could see the fact that you we could see a storyline built between Raquel and Rhea going into the next kind of show, which would be obviously we've seen it before. It's not something that is not it's not new, but this is a different kind of Raquel, which has a lot of momentum kind of building up, especially from the Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble. There's a silent kind of building towards something amazing with Raquel Rodriguez. So that could be very interesting to see. I probably missed some loads of things that happened in the last couple of weeks. Um, it has been a lot, but those were the kind of main things that I could think of. I'm really, really kind of looking towards SmackDown, because obviously you had, I forgot to mention this, obviously so much things are happening. Who was Randy Orton speaking to on Raw? You had Randy Orton with an interview with Michael Gold, but then turned out it's not going to be an interview, and he's speaking to someone. Who's he speaking to? Is it Ted DiBiase? People saying Chris Jericho. The Rock has pulled up in the name. People saying Kevin Owens, Bob Orton, Goldust. Who is it that Randy Orton was speaking to? I hope it's someone good. It better not be some kind of oralist character. It needs to be someone good, someone that would affect Cody Rhodes in that way. It would affect Cody Rhodes, if you get what I'm saying. But overall, loving wrestling right now, really enjoying it. Interested to see what's happening on SmackDown. That's going to be the end of the video. Leave a like if it was good. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a dislike if it was bad as well. Subscribe if you want to. Peace.